I bet you won't hit him. I bet you won't hit him. This is gonna get interesting.
White people.
Oh, here it goes.
Oh, dropped him. Wait. Dropped him again.
Oh, box the
two
ear.
for 2. 2 for 2 at the plate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where's the leak, man?
You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
No.
He out.
Finland. Yep.
Oh, I'm not muted.
Welcome to tonight's Plumes of Hazard. My name is Mass Blasto9, and these are my co-hosts. Freshly shaven Fubaka, look at that baby face, and Elangsful drumming Vapor. Slanshafats.
Slanshava, everyone.
One of the many hated for getting in on that Narda list. Welcome. Welcome, farts.
You know, I was surprised about the number of people that were surprisingly cool about it.
Really? I thought it was funny all the people crying about it.
Well, there's always going to be people crying about it, but there were fewer than I thought would, and there were other ones that, I mean, Festy's here's one of them. He posted in there and had several people reply to it saying that it made sense. They understood.
Yeah, and of course, you know, all the people are appalled at the you know, shit going up on sale automatically already.
Yeah, there was already one up on the old action block.
Was there one? I thought there was more than one.
Oh, maybe there was. I just heard about the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vic, who cries but atomizers? I agree. Cry bullies.
A lot of people I've seen. Atomizers. I've seen people cry about atomizers, 3D printed mechs, Italian regulated mods,
all the things.
Cloudmaker mods. I mean,
Yeah.
Eddie, that's a good damn question, my friend. I'm going to tag him right now in Slack.
Mother is with father.
No,
No, I have not tried the new K-Phone Lite yet, Fist.
oh man, Inksy, I just saw that. It's just three little dots. So sad. My GIF is just 3 little dots.
Yeah. It's just 3. It's just never showed up.
Yeah, apparently there was some fuckery on Facebook today. I don't know.
Yesterday was Verizon, and today is
what happened to Verizon yesterday?
Oh, they had fucking East Coast.
Yeah.
Oh, it still won't let me post it.
I'm like, I was off from work yesterday. I didn't have.
Wow.
I didn't. Thankfully, didn't catch any of that fuckery that went around.
So yesterday morning? Yesterday morning. Text messaging was completely down for most
mobile.
Coast. Yeah.
Ooh, text messaging is down?
Yeah, within Verizon network in and out.
This is the company that only in the last 3 years allowed you to use data while you were talking on the phone.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years.
Well, welcome to 2019. Verizon people getting out the CDMA crap.
Well,
hey, we were gonna throttle. Remember they throttled the connections of those first responders, and rather than saying we fucked up, they've had an everlasting campaign being like, well, I fell in the woods 22 feet, broke my pelvis. I didn't think they'd respond as quickly as they did. And like, hey, he has a Verizon phone. Huh. We've never fucked over first responders before. Like, there was for my football people, there was an ad involving AJ McCarron, who is the most famous quarterback to never really quarterback at the NFL. He was in an ad because he almost died, and apparently Verizon saved his life. So
one of the I totally forgot what I was going to say because Ahmed went and rambled.
I'm sorry, you have a memory of a goldfish.
I was gonna comment about something with Verizon and one high horse. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was that I was going to say. Oh well, it was something about
responders and text messages.
No, it was before the first responders, and something with the Verizon service. But oh well, c'est la vie.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Sean is not in here. Actually, that was surprising, considering the Facebook this last week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Facebook, though, did you see that that they're going to start doubling down on encrypted and destroyed messages?
Yep.
They're going to try to do the Snapchat thing, I guess.
They want to do end-to-end encryption with software. I wouldn't trust fucking Facebook with end-to-end encryption.
No.
Get the fuck out of here.
Because there's a man in the middle.
I'm already feeling a little that freaking log me in bot LastPass.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
and it was great. I was watching a webinar today, and it was all security related and stuff. And there's this guy, giving his spiel, and someone in the audience goes, "So, if Citrix's, data breach where they stole 6 terabytes of data, and they had a $1 million, security team in place, well, what does your, $10,000 engagement going to do for us?"
Yeah.
And you're like, well, you'd be surprised how big these companies, and Verizon's one of them. Verizon's one of the ones that supposedly puts out some interesting stuff. So, but yeah.
Ooh, Mark, what's up? Do we still use the chat in the home page?
What's an home page?
Wow.
Damn. Have you been updating the home page link?
That brought back memories.
I don't think I've done it since I started hosting the show, to be honest. I completely forgot that was
shit.
Months ago.
I think the last time I did it was when I was hosting the Reviewers Queue.
There's probably people sitting in there just waiting. They've been waiting for weeks. Run,
Yeah, you don't have anything better to do?
Oh, so run, Oh, that's weird. It didn't let me reply to your reply.
I thought using the home page because the embed link was broken in the home page.
Yeah, no, it still works. It worked when I asked you to start hosting it, and I had always done it, but since you've been hosting lately,
you joined the Plumes Discord, Tim. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that was Sean's creation because for the chats that we weren't having in Facebook.
Yeah, it's that I did see somebody posted there recently. I don't think I replied back. Because it's something that's in my Discord. I still have it in there. I don't think anybody used it.
Someone said, "Why did people stop?" I'm going to respond to that person now. February 22nd. The party was too intense. Decided to keep it on FB. Cool.
Wow, this guy's a badass. 96 days, 12 hours, and 45 minutes was the record for an able-bodied person to do an unsupported row solo across the Atlantic from east to west. Former Royal Marine Lee Spencer, an amputee, did it in 60 days with one leg. Badass. Hey guys. So what you flying on?
What you rowing on?
What you flying on?
I'm vaping on.
Definitely not.
I'm vaping on a HH757 cargo.
I'm talking to somebody today, and I was like, "Yeah, I hope you're not flying out via Southwest." They were like, "Oh, they only have one plane. That's that." I'm like, "You better check your fucking cancellations, boy."
I'm sure it's at least half of their fleet.
It is half of their fleet.
Boom.
What'd you end up naming the show?
The one I just cleaned up your title a little bit.
Oh yeah, what'd you name it? My title. Don't put that on me.
Fed's
Fucking
gonna blowing you.
Fed's been
Honestly,
blank.
like we've had
That
rash titles in that.
That was, okay, so that title can cover a lot of things that have happened within the past few
I know.
days.
That's why I thought it was great. That's why I went with it. I'm like, this is layers clever.
Planes, Manaforts, rich people who fucking put their kids through college or try to get their kids into college.
Yo, Aunt Becky, she's big trouble, mister. Big trouble, mister.
The worst thing about all of this is everybody going, oh, no.
So here's the thing.
They would never. Someone on Royal Ascot Lane would never pay $50,000 to get their kid in fucking Harvard.
So here's the thing. You want to? So I haven't read enough into to figure out how they came upon this. But my theory, there's currently a giant FBI probe into NCAA basketball right now. I wonder if they found this out in the process, because Ivy League schools, because their basketball teams for the most part aren't worth a shit, so they were just using the extra scholarships for regular people. I wonder if they found this in their probing of all the big programs.
So I don't know who it was, but someone was like, this goes on all the time. These people did it the stupid way. They're like, the right way to do it is you send a kid to these private schools, then you give a great endowment to these private schools, and the private schools are the ones that get your kid to the right location for them to, now they don't do the whole test taking where a proxy goes in and takes a test at you and stuff like that, but they pretty much guarantee that your kid's going to get in. So that's the right way of doing it. Using a middleman and paying them $70,000, or sometimes, man, one was like $500,000 to get them in. Like, man, your parents must really love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's a new building on your private school with your name on it.
Yeah, fucking building. Yeah, that's true.
Welcome to the Mass Plastics Engine.
Yeah. That's going to be a Wing Blast. That's a Wing Blast.
Yeah, and Becky, big trouble, mister.
Yeah, right. I ain't even fucking buying a brick, so suck it. I might laser a brick for you.
So laser a brick and tape $1 to it. Just
screw that. I'm just gonna freaking Banksy a brick. I'll just go up and put a stencil, spray paint it, and pull it back off. Wait, why does it say Mar-Lago? What? That's not right.
Marlanxy.
Yeah, it starts peeling the paint off. This is somebody else's last name.
And then a dick butt shows up.
Yeah. Yeah, boy. So, Inksy, what you vaping on?
Today I've mostly been vaping on the Limelight Gloom Ram. On top, I have a new atomizer, the one that Master was referring to a minute ago from Narmods, which we'll talk about in a little bit. This is the Naria. And on top of there, I've got a new Omen tip.
Not to be confused with Noriega.
Yeah, no, not Noriega. Different one. This is the Naria. And I've always, well, we can get there in a minute, but I guess I can go ahead and say this. So Todd basically made everybody say Narda, right? Like pronouncing the whole thing. I always thought, I think originally it was supposed to be the Nar DA, right? Dripping atomizer. And then once he started that, there was no stopping it, right? So when I did a review, I even said that. I was like, this is Todd's fault that you have to say it all at once. This is the Narda. And then the Narka, of course, came on. Then the Narta, the Narba. But this one, the Naria, I don't know. It sounds weird.
We'll wait for Todd to call it whatever it should be called.
Yeah, he did. He called it's just, to me, it doesn't make as much sense. So I think I'm probably just going to be calling this the EA.
You see what happens when you take pronunciation lessons from a Scot?
It's never good.
Nope.
11! If you've ever seen that video, that should make you laugh. Away back to your own tongue tray. That should make him laugh too if he ever watches this. So that's what's on top of here. I have been enjoying it, but we'll talk about it in a little more detail later. Fu, what are you vaping on?
Well, I got my Limo, my Narca, with some unreleased fruit juice in here. Almond tip. Did you know August 8th? I can't say what it is. So.
What? Did you just have a stroke?
I think,
Kind of.
I think without his beard, it's just not coming out right.
Right? I says, August 8th, we can't say what it is. Yeah, nasty. Vaped on today?
Negatory, nothing today. I'm just dripping the salts on my tongue.
You're dripping that sauce.
Dude, that's becoming like such a. I don't like it. That's becoming worse than the fucking juuling.
Isn't it? It's
Dude,
really weird.
Fuck. It all of a sudden it's like the juuling has disappeared, and now it's they can just have it in a little bottle like this, and they can just put it on their skin and it absorbs to their skin, or they can just put it under. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man.
You know what? I flew next to someone who does that.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure, but you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? Like these kids are the one
out too.
The one article that just came out was they were like, where did they find where were they able to buy this potent nicotine that will kill you? And they were like, it's 100,000 milligrams of nicotine. I'm like, damn, I want to know some powerful shit.
It might make that kid productive for once. Fuck.
That's a fucking fentanyl of nicotine. I'm like, I'm reading this article. I'm like, yo, y'all got too many zeros and commas. Remove them. Okay.
Yeah. Well, like what Chubby was talking about the other day, that was it the ketamine nasal spray thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't ketamine. It was something else, a related chemical or something, right? But similar.
Chemical, I think they called it.
So back to your point, Massey. What I thought you were talking about, I thought you were going to talk about the old Hatfield-McCoy thing that people have been getting on this weird like tribalism thing about salts. Like how, like if it's not salt, I won't vape it, or if it is salt, I won't vape it. And it's like, oh God, you guys aren't releasing something in salts. Like there's like really like up in arms arguments about this stupid sort of nicotine. It's weird.
Yep.
Yeah. No, please don't be boofing e-liquid. Damn, that's probably not a good idea.
That's probably a great idea. It's efficiency.
That's so I don't understand that whole thing. That's weird. And of course then you got what's his nuts, Nathan, that's really upset about all of these salt liquid lines that are out there that weren't registered before the old deadline date, and and he's got a point. He's got a point about it. I mean, a lot of these new ones that are coming out there, it seems to be as much new release of e-liquids, specifically salts, these days as there was back before the deadline. And it's like these guys give no fucks. And hopefully it doesn't come back and bite them in the ass.
Well, the industry would cease to exist, in my opinion, if had majority of the companies okay. They put a date for us. We're just gonna be a Boy Scout about it, not put anything out. Our industry relies on new products, even if it's the same smoke tank. But every so often, something new comes along that actually catches on, and salts and pod systems. Although I think for vapors who've been vaping for a few years, it can be a step backward for. But that's the period we're in now.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, good. Did you see Rob's comment in the chat? He said he's been off the salts for 3 months. He got his job back and his kids.
Nice. Is that all it took?
Good boy.
I think I've talked about this previously. I was using the Sorin at work, and it was cool. But I was fucking vaping when I was bored. I gotta take the freight elevator up to the floor, and there was construction going on in the building. I have 20 minutes to kill until the elevator shows up for me. Vape. I don't need it. So
yeah.
Shit.
I feel bad for new vapors too, Vic. Not necessarily for that reason, although that's certainly one of them. My problem with somebody coming in these days is there are a million pod systems out there, and if you're at least a reasonable sort of shoppery person, you don't want to just pick one with the blindfold on, right? You're trying to find the best one. So everybody's always asking, what's the best process on? And there's a new one of those out every month too. I say every month, every other day.
And going into a vape shop hasn't changed a whole hell of a lot. Like I walked into a shop for the first time in I don't know how long, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like my vape shop experience has declined over the last few years.
I haven't been in a vape shop in the last few years.
Well, because everyone I know that worked at a shop, at least in the city, or or working at a different shop that's way out of the fucking way. Like Beyond Vape, for instance, they have a couple in like bumfuck Brooklyn that I'm not going to trek out to. But I don't know. Like I don't know any of the people anymore. The people who are working there are just very stiff.
Mm.
You know, that's just my observation. So
sure, but the reason I say that, so if you rewind back, 5 or 6 years ago when we were starting, our options were what, an EVOD, ProTake 1. What was the one with the squid wicks that hung down on the side?
VV Nova.
The VV Nova, right? I mean, there was just a very small handful of atomizers to choose from. It pretty much picked one until the K Fund came out. That's and that kind of changed. That's what changed my vaping from somebody who was purely trying to get off of smoking to somebody that was a hobbyist rebuilding coils and stuff. I had a dripper or two before that just to give them a whack, but back then it just wasn't. The tech wasn't there yet. It didn't really capture me into like the K Fund did.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the vapors have it a lot better now. Obviously, we said that before, but it's like as a vape shop employee, you should be able to size someone up and know how technologically apt they are after talking to them for a few minutes.
Yeah.
No, like you shouldn't make it a headache of an experience for them and confuse them, because I've worked with people who've done that, confuse the shit out of customers.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, you get an EVOD. Actually, if you get this mech mod here and this RB, all you have to do is just wrap the coil like that. Dude, he's 68 years old. What the fuck are you doing?
Right. And you're right that Festy, there is the CE3 and 4, but I think I bought a few of those, but I don't think I was ever satisfied by any of them. Like as soon as the Kanger stuff came out, like the EVOD and the Pro 1, that was what all of a sudden was not shit. That was what the first thing that was a step up, and then the K-Fund just blew it all out of water. Yeah, Rob says he's the same way. He's on again, off again vapor until the K-Fund. And I was able to make the Cleros work because back then I was really, really intent. I was determined to not smoke again. And I was able to make the Cleros work, the CEs work until I got my first Pro Tank, which was a step up. And then the EVODs. The Jennies were around, you're right, Duro, but I never got into Jennies. I have tried them multiple times over the years. I've still got one for the billet box, the old
Jennies. Jennies for the most part were, at least when I started vaping, were a fairly exclusive thing for, like, it was more of a high end thing, and then you had the Smoke RSST and whatever other high end style atomizers. But even then, you had to be you were a pretty fucking advanced vapor if you were fucking with mesh.
And during that whole time with the mesh, it was just, man, it was seriously hit and miss.
It was for sure. And Tim, I'm actually saying the exact opposite. To me, I'm not saying that I had to vape uphill both ways back in the day. I'm actually saying I think it was easier back then because there were so few choices. And granted, the choices were coming rapidly in a line, but back then there were so few that worked pretty well. It was less of a hassle than it is these days. I mean, just with pod systems alone, I could probably name 20 of them off the top of my head. And I don't know any of them. I'm sure there's 100 more that I don't know about.
Well, and the problem too is people getting burned out.
Yeah.
Because it's super information overload.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean with information overload. It's just too much. It's just too much. There's 100 million Chinese tanks, and there's 400 million Chinese different heads, right, for those tanks. And it's easy to get lost. It's easy to pick the wrong one and not have a great experience because you got the wrong mod, whatever. It is just too many. Mark, mesh is still shite. Yeah, but you're not kidding. Every time I've tried it, I'm like, hey, that works pretty well. And then you get one dry hit, right? You get one dry hit of mesh. You're like, fuck it.
All it takes is one, and you're dead.
And the thing is, like, I vaped. If I could have someone like John Martin do my mesh every time, then I would own a Jenny, because I vaped on. I had, like, the one time I met him, I vaped on his next gen. I was puffing on that thing. I couldn't get it to dry hit.
Wait, still using your Pro Tank more than an Ego 650? I don't think you're being serious. Surely not.
First of all, why do you own a 650 Ego? At least get a 900.
Man.
650.
I think that was the good size, if I remember right. The 650 was like a medium size. It wasn't like a huge, lightsaber long.
Yeah. No, I always I had I didn't have a 650 VV. What I did have was so the 900 non-VV ones were perfect size. They're about the same size like a variable 650. That would be my going out piece.
Yeah.
I had that little 350. That thing was great.
The 350, that's a shorty. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, the
350, 650, and 900, then 1100 if you were, feeling real sauce, and then I think they had a 1500 spinner.
I had the 350, and I had the slim Pro Tank.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the Pro Tank Mini. Yeah.
Mini. Yeah, and that thing was.
I hated the Pro Tank Mini. I didn't like that one at all.
So did I. I remember the story I told about that old woman's dentures. And all the Pro Tank Mini too.
I do.
Every time I see a tank, I think of that. It's funny because it's not something I want to vomit at. But it was yeah.
Costello said he's not joking. He's still using the Pro Tank. You can still find those heads. Maybe he's rebuilding them.
Yeah. No, the Pro Tank heads you can still find.
Oh yeah, you can still find those old Pro Tank heads.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should rebuild them though, because they're
yeah, but
leaps and bounds.
They have probably come down in price so much that it's probably
they just vape so much better when you rebuild them.
You do.
Yeah.
Or you just wick them with cotton. Because I think I rebuilt. I did what Biggles told me to do at the time, which was just rebuild 6 or 7 of them at once. Just get it over with, and you're set.
Yes.
And just throw a little bit of cotton in there. I think I rebuilt it with 28 gauge. Is what he told me to do. Yeah. At 28 gauge and just regular cotton. It was just.
Yeah. That's what I did, and it was a pain in the dick, but you could do it, and
it wicked better than silica. You could chain vape it. It was great. It was just you just couldn't fuck it up, obviously. But once I got the first one right, then I knew how to do the rest of them, and that was that.
You have to get the batteries on eBay. I'm just shocked that you still have the heads. I bet I still have a Ziploc bag in there with a bunch of rebuilt Pro Tank heads. I'm sure, because little. For me anyway, if I remember right, the little chimney that was like press fit on top, you had to pop that off, and after you did that a few times, that it seemed like it wouldn't fit back on there snugly anymore, and you had to basically chunk that one, but you could still rebuild it a few times. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised that that folks still use a Kabuki for sure. I mean, Dong was using the Kabuki up until not too long ago,
and within the last year, yeah. He was rocking 2 of them, actually.
Yeah.
He got put the schmancy bright green O-rings on one of his. That probably would have matched this sweatshirt. Which is... Oh,
hey.
Can you say barely surviving?
Yeah, that's not much left of that.
Dude, so I had to be careful when I put my sleeves on because it is ripped on the inside. I mean, I've had the sweatshirt for 6 years and change, but it is ripped on the inside, and I have to make sure my fingers don't catch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been dropping a lot of people's elbows on fools,
So what are you talking about there? What's the UL Calibum? I don't even know what that is.
Huh? Oh, UL, who makes they make the crown.
Mm-hmm.
That must be their new tank.
Mm.
So, actually, what I was talking about earlier about the the Scott Gottlieb getting leaving, and then there was an article today. FDA outlines e-cigarette rules, tightens restrictions on fruity flavors to try to curb teen vaping, and they're also moving deadline date from 2022 to 2021. And here is the CNBC link inside chat. Basically, proposal, which is now open for public comment for 30 days, outlines new restrictions for most flavored e-cigs, speeds the agency's deadline to review flavored nicotine products, and allows it to pull e-cigarettes from the market. If finalized, the change will likely remove some flavored e-cigarettes and cigars from stores, the FDA said. That's the part that is interesting, is that they're also talking about cigars. And from what we know in the past, cigar industry's got way more pull than e-cig does.
Yeah, they did.
They've got their shit together. They have they have like a trade organization and lobbies, and like I told this story back when I was working for Enjoy at the Hazleton Mall, which is pretty shitty mall, honestly, in PA. The tobacco shop that's there, they basically lobbied the mall to let people smoke or vape. Like I was able to vape around the mall, and the same thing at King of Prussia Mall in PA, because tobacco has pull.
Yeah. So one of the things that Gottlieb basically they quoted him saying was, and this is funny. This is funny because the whole reason I think we are even at pod systems, okay, and why they're around is because of the fear of what the FDA is going to do. Yeah. Right? This is quote. I think marketability of pod-based products will be called into question if youth use rates continue to climb at the rates that they're climbing, he said. In other words, by making the fucking pod systems, we have put a bigger target on vaping.
Right.
Doesn't anybody else find that funny?
Yeah, that, and also I'm talking with Vic and Chad about just the devices themselves. Like they're supposed to be pod systems, and they're big, and I see people, with whatever pod system. And I think it's a Juul, but then they fucking pull it, like chuck a cloud out of him. Like,
yeah. So today, apparently, he was meeting with executives from Juul and tobacco giant Altera, and he said he called the companies into his office after Altera announced a $12.8 billion minority investment in Juul just 2 months after saying flavors and the pod-based e-cigarette Juul's popularity drove the surge in teen use. And it also says he's moving up the application deadline for most flavored e-cigarettes by 1 year to August 8th, 2021. But the changes do not apply to menthol, mint, and tobacco flavors. It wants to preserve those because they're available in cigarettes and help switch adult smokers. Oh, gee, thanks.
Yeah, Josh is right that nobody thought open systems were going to get through the PMTA stuff, which is why everybody started trying with the pods, right? Because that's even if they're not pre-filled, there's still a fixed coil, fixed battery, fixed everything else.
Yeah, and that right there all goes out the window. None of that fucking matters.
The fact that they're refillable makes them an open system,
right? Well, it makes even less of an open system, though.
Even if they weren't refillable, though, it doesn't matter. It's if people aren't getting it, it's how the ease of use for whatever the people who they're targeting, which is the FDA is looking at teenagers. The pods, they're tiny. The devices, they're tiny. They're small. People like to stealth vape, do all that shit.
Or like the ones from last week you're talking about, the kids. The school band sleeves, long sleeves, because they're
that's the kind of crazy shit you start getting into when all this happens. So, I don't know. And there's something else in the article asking, hey, when he leaves, are his wishes going to be? And they're going to continue with what he's doing. Once again, this is what we talked about a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Everybody fucking cheering, get the fuck out of here. Now go cheer for this. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he leaves. He's just a little cog in the grand scheme of things. I mean, hey, pessimist math class 09 pest here. But, this guy is setting all kinds of things in motion before he leaves. So.
Speaking of pessimism, let me get my video source up.
You get that up. I want to hop on. Unless if you're not changing the subject, that's cool. But I do have something to talk about. That's
well, it's kind of related. It's about Aspen.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm talking about a place where the beer flows like wine. I'm talking about it's called Aspen. They are to ban all flavored nicotine products in Aspen. Aspen's elected official, blah, 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 blah. Menthol cigarettes, flavored e-cigarettes, vape pens, snuff, and chewing tobacco. And of course, I'm sure there are people thinking like, well, you can have flavored CBD gum. You know what? Weed is not tobacco. Weed is not classified as tobacco.
Nope.
Helps to have a good lobby. So, yeah, this is not good. Well, I mean, you have to be of a certain income bracket to be hanging out in Aspen anyway.
Yes.
Which
Like have a last name of Samsonite.
yes. So yeah, that's very briefly. That's my first piece of news. I have some El Muchacho news as well, but we'll go over that later.
So, still on the advocacy front, this did come up, and I thought we should at least address it. This guy cracks me up every time I see his name come up on Reddit. I'm going to share his name because this is where I initially got the link. But Batterload, that guy's name just kills me every time I see him. But this did get proposed that am I sharing? Yeah, I'm sharing. That the e-cigarette, or Trump wants the e-cigarette industry to pay $100 million a year in user fees in order to pay for the feds, right? So we get to pay for that, but and a lot of people, I saw a lot of people on the Facebooks wigging out about this, but I did see a comment in here that I wanted to.
Can we make Mexico pay for it?
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? And by the way, this isn't a law. This is just his proposed budget, by the way. It's got to get passed through stuff, so nobody forget about that. But was it this one that I crap, I don't remember where it was. Somebody in here was talking about, everybody's freaking out about this dollar amount, right? And I can't find it at the moment, but I will post a link to the thread in chat. But somebody brought up a good point, which is amongst, along the lines of what I was thinking when I saw the initial headline. The people that will be paying for this thing, whenever they get around to enforcing it, right? Whenever that is, if it does happen, there's a big if anyway. If that does happen, when they do get around to enforcing it, it's not like mom and pop Iluka company that's been selling legit juice from before the deadline. They make up a millionth of a percentage of the actual money that's being made from vaping. Yeah, they're not gonna get run out of business and have to pay $100 million. They're gonna pay like $1, and it'll be don't freak out.
Relax.
Everybody's freaking out about how this is gonna ruin everything. Okay, you know who's gonna foot most of that bill is the people that are making bajillions of dollars in the vaping industry, and they've got the money to pay for it. So don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. And that's, we don't even know that's gonna happen. So I just don't want to.
I thought the Trump FDA was good.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah,
Yeah. He's about deregulation like Will Smith is about rapping. Okay, let's.
The Senate just don't understand. Trickle down taxation. Yeah. Yeah, Fessy. I mean, to me, it would be different, right, if they're passing that along, and you've got places like, half of California and the Pacific Northwest, and a couple places on the East Coast as well that are, proposing 80+% taxes on vaping in order to try to bring it up to par with tobacco taxes. Yeah, right. That's clearly preposterous. But this amount of money that you've seen in the headlines, it's just shock value. It's not going to be, it'll be fine. That's my guess. I'm no lawyer, and I don't even play one on the internet.
Oh, dude, you might as well be a lawyer because we're an industry full of armchair battery experts, metallurgists, wick experts. So why don't you be a lawyer? We need more armchair lawyers in vaping.
Keith, that's like
don't
the whole.
Freak out, Keith! Don't freak out.
That's the whole anal thing.
Yeah, Shaq's not wrong. DIY. Yeah, you can always get around this shit, right? DIY. Buy some imported Serbian mods.
Vaping is a billion-dollar industry, but most of that wealth is concentrated in Juul. 75% of the market they hold.
That's
Kinda
true.
figured it out.
Festy's right. Don't forget aerodynamicists.
Yeah. Diffuse airflow. It gives you gout.
They give you gout.
Like that.
I guess you saw that. You did see that screenshot.
Oh, I saw the fuck out of that.
That was hilarious. Good, Keith. I'm glad you're better. We're here. We're here for some levity this evening.
Juul doesn't make up 70% of the market. They absolutely do. You know, Juul made a mark on an industry when 90% of the vapes I see on the street are Juuls. I mean, I mentioned this a few weeks ago. I go across the water to Jersey. People have, mods and tanks and such. Vaping is more of a presence in New Jersey. But in New York City, a lot of fucking Juuls. It's too damn convenient.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I mean, you would know that also by the fact that the market itself has turned that into a verb, right? I mean, they've renamed the vaping into juuling.
They did with vaping what we couldn't, basically.
Right.
They obsoleted the cigarette better than anyone else. Yeah, kids too. Kids all the fucking time. I see fucking kids using their Juuls on the subway platform, and I'm like,
yeah,
fuckers. You know what I want to do? I want to slap the phone out of their hand while they're snapping. Like, as the train's pulling up, slap phone into tracks, run over. That's a better snap, isn't it? I don't know. Juul, 70% of the C-store market, maybe 40% of the whole market. I don't know. I think every other vape shop I go to here has Juul pods because people want them, and you're going to carry what people want. I can't say that's ubiquitous across every vaping market, whether it's PA or here. Juul's really fucking popular, really popular. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If I was quitting smoking and starting vaping today, I would use a Juul. If that was around then, the Plumes of Hazard would have never happened.
No, I completely agree. I've said that a bunch of times. If the Juul was around in whenever I was 14 that I started full-time vaping, I probably would have only used that and probably would have quit smoking and then been done with it, right?
Yeah.
It was probably the K Fund that got me into the hobbyist side of things.
Because if we were as an industry to create a universal like pod system or this or that, like a true closed system, all of the juice manufacturers would get, would be in cahoots with Juul, be like, kind of like what Sync did, poorly with 5 Ponds and those companies be like, we're going to make salts for the Juul, or like Juul, or you have a selection of like 2 or 3 different devices. That's a closed system. When you have like Keurig and the pods,
right?
That is my analogy.
I think it's probably a really good analogy.
Dozens upon dozens upon dozens of coffee companies who probably hate the idea of the pod, but it's great fucking marketing.
Yeah.
So Dunkin' Donuts has pods, Starbucks has pods, every like indie roasting company has pods.
Yeah, but the thing too is the pods served an area in the market that needed to be served, and that's why people buy them. They don't buy them because the coffee tastes better or whatever. It's because I want this much fucking coffee. I want it in 30 seconds, and I want to be gone. Yeah, I don't want to be freaking scooping fucking coffee into a filter. Freaking waiting for the
you gotta
machine
grind it first on the right.
I don't want to sit and unscrew the fucking gross tank and pull out the coil and put the new one in and juice it up. Yeah, it's just changing a Juul pod. You pull that shit out, maybe wipe it down, throw the new one in, boom. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
that's what we wanted then. We didn't have it until the last few years.
There's a lot of people that have really big problems with the waste on that.
Yeah.
With
absolutely.
Yeah. Because I mean, it'll add up, but
But that's the thing, though. It's the cost of convenience. Same thing with Tide Pods. Tide Pods, if you measure its cost versus a gallon of like concentrated detergent, you're coming out way ahead getting the liquid shit versus the pods. Like the K cups, this, that, they create a lot of plastic waste. I think Keurig cups of coffee taste like shit, personally. I don't brew it hot enough. That's me. But in the office, fucking home run.
Yeah.
Actually, even my office got rid of the Keurig machines and all the pod systems. They have like a thing, like a top loader with beans that makes cups to order because it's
Right.
a lot less wasteful and such.
Yeah. Sorry, Victor, get triggered by coffee pods. Anybody that likes coffee, and Fu would probably be of the three of us the one who likes coffee the most. Most people get triggered by them, but you can't deny the convenience.
They are. I mean, that's the thing. If I left the house and I didn't have any time to make coffee or pick up a cup on my way, I'll drink a Keurig cup. I'm not gonna sit and be like,
Yeah, okay.
it's beneath me. I'm a fucking hoity-toity coffee person. I make a goddamn pour over every morning, and I pour it in my thermos. You know why? 'Cause it tastes fucking good. What's that thing from Tarantino in Pulp Fiction? Yeah. Like good fucking coffee, not that bullshit. What's his wife's name?
Folgers or something, right?
Yeah, bullshit Folgers are what you buy from the grocery store. Buy real good shit.
Holy crap! I haven't watched that movie in a long time, like a long time.
We did Hateful Eight in the Sync Lounge on one night. It was actually really good. I hadn't seen it, but yeah, I wouldn't mind I'd have to mute a few people in the Discord when we do it, but I'm definitely whoa. I had a weird line across my camera. I don't know if you saw that, but I looked a little distorted on this side.
No.
Let's say, yeah, it was weird.
No.
I noticed. I don't know if anyone else did, but yeah, I wouldn't mind watching Pulp Fiction again. For damn sure. Keurig is not the only imperfect. If you want decaf in the morning, I would venture you to go have Senka instead of.
No, that is a name I haven't heard in a long time.
I know. I was trying to think of the movie that I learned of Senka from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's like, sorry, class, I'm a little slow. Oh, there's the distortion line again.
It's not over here. It's not coming across to me.
No, I think it's just on my end. I don't know. It's weird. There's a bandwidth thing.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the generator that turns on every 10 minutes right next to your fucking monitor, pulling all the power. It's just sucking. You see Con Ed's freaking machines go. Oh, that must have been.
Maybe. So here's my long con, Mass.
Were you saying?
What's that?
Oh, they still make Senka?
Of course they do.
Do they? Okay, I didn't know.
I haven't seen it in like a minute, but I know they still do. I still see it in the occasional person's house. And I'm like, wow, what presidential administration is this from?
Well, I used to say the same thing about Tab, and then I saw it in the grocery store a couple of years ago. Like, oh fuck, they're still making Tab. Spork's not wrong. Giz, do they still make Tang? Surely they make Tang.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
You gotta make Tang still.
Dude, Tang is incredibly popular in Pakistan, or my family, India and Pakistan. They love Tang over there.
Yeah.
Love it. Like, my aunt, for some reason, felt it appropriate to just, well, she that's her thing, is that she'll make like food for us, whatever to take home. She sends us with like Tupperwares of food she made, and then like a fucking giant thing of Tang.
Oh boy. Oh yeah, that's good.
And I drank none of it. My brother took up to college and made punch with it for parties and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
party punch.
That is smart. I'm like, yeah, I told him, like, Tang and vodka. It's fucking good.
That's pretty interesting. Buddy just sent me a picture of a freaking F-150 with an electric plug on the side charging.
What?
Yeah. I'll say I'll put
Metamucil over Tang. Yeah, I think I'll be saying that when I get to a certain age.
Yeah. Metamucil over Tang. Metamucil in Tang. I mean,
I don't like chalky Tang.
I
don't like enjoy Tang anymore, but for those years,
you going see?
Holy shit! Look at there.
That's not that he just unmasculined his ride.
So apparently,
that's fucking dope.
Apparently, the article says this Ford F-150 pickup hides the electric secret. It's a Rivian R1T, which is another company. It's the R1T disguised as a Ford F-150, but it's a different truck, and this truck is going to be a $70,000 starting price, but it's going to have 400-mile range and 11,000-pound towing capacity. That's
dude,
that's pretty pimp.
Biggles has been wanting to get a pickup, and I think this is his.
That's pretty pimp.
That's 400-mile range, but not when you're towing 11,000 pounds. It's probably gets you about 4 miles.
Yeah.
You have infinite torque though.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Speaking of which, and we can turn over to the Plumes of Automobiles here for a little while, but I have been seriously considering starting to chase down one of the 3 Series, the Tesla 3s.
Yeah.
Because of the price break. Like, so the Model S obviously is the pimp is the pimp rides, right? And it's one of the I wanted, but I would never pay that kind of money for a car. Even pre-owned, they're still quite expensive.
Yes.
The newer 3s are, I mean, they're like 30-some thousand bucks. They're much more reasonably priced, and something that I would consider, because they still get, I think it's like 310 miles a charge or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Not too shabby, but I think, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the newer ones are not being sold with free access to the superchargers.
That's correct. That's correct. You have to pay for charging.
Right. But it's still not that much money, right? It's still
it's a reduced rate.
Yeah.
I believe, and I'm sure someone will correct me, only the original investors of Tesla that invested in buying a Tesla when they first came out, up to, I think, right before the Model 3, are the only ones that are allowed, free use of the supercharger.
Right.
And then Model 3 and on, there's a small fee, per kW that you charge.
It's not much, like recharging the whole thing. It's still just a few bucks. It's way cheaper than gas. But the thing here's the one thing that gets me though. So if I'm going to take a cross country trip to my folks who live out east, I've mapped the thing. I've seen the supercharger along the way, and that's fine. But even the superchargers, they take, it's like an hour and a half or something like that to recharge it fully.
No, you can get 45 minutes will get you. I mean, if you're on empty, yes, it's going to take over an hour. But if you have like 20% left, or even like 20% left, I believe that 45 minutes gets you to like 90%.
It's something like 80% is what 80%? I would say. Okay. Yeah. But in order to make it to the next supercharger, you kind of have to have it pretty much filled up. Anyway, but my thing is that means I'm stopping for an hour. Let's just round out and say an hour.
Yeah.
You're stopping for an hour every 250 to 300 miles, and that's way more than I stop on a car trip. I mean, that's way more than I stop on a car trip. I'm a machine, right? I get it done. I want to get the hell out of the car.
I mean, in some ways you have to plan it around. You have to like plan meals around it almost, because like how else are you going to kill 45 minutes?
Right.
And that's the thing.
They do that on purpose, right? They put those in like shopping areas and places with a restaurant, and they do that so you have something to do. Yeah. But still, that's just going to extend your trip time quite a bit. But here's the other thing. So that's one thing, and then the other thing is if you do get that, when you buy the car, I understand that you get a recharging kit for your house. Yes. And you can get a 220 or a 110. But even the 220, it takes like 12 hours or something crazy at 220 to get it charged back up. That's crazy.
It's total overnight charging for sure. Yeah. From empty.
From empty.
So you won't get a full charge if you just do like 8 hours. Right. But dude, those supercharger stations, dude, those are 440 volt coming in. Fucking I pulled up the specs one time, and it's insane the amount of power those things are dumping. They have their own little mini substation behind the converters.
Right.
And also too is weather plays a part, and I'm really interesting to see how the heat and the humidity will affect charging, because that's how Tesla controls how long the batteries in these cars last. For sure. Is they control to the freaking microamp of how they're charging these batteries, and it will not let you, freaking zip a battery, power charge a car that is overheating. I mean, even though it has this cooling system, I mean, the ones down here when they're plugged in, because we have one like about 2 minutes away from my house, and it's I think it's like a 6 or 7 bay. Their fans are running all the time while they're charging. I mean, you hear them, they're like, woo, because that's cooling the batteries. So
that is true. And there's one near near an Apple store where I often have to go when I want to shop for Apple stuff. I want to go to the store. There's I think there's 2 or 3 banks in this little shopping area, and it's the same thing. I mean, it's hot as shit down here, of course. That Infesti brings up a good point. So what happens when every household uses 20% more electricity and nobody wants to allow new plants? That's true. We do have we've got a really good infrastructure system here in Texas for power, but there's a lot of other places that do not, that suffer brownouts, periodically, and that's just based on demand and stuff. Now, granted, a lot of these are going to be charging overnight, right? So that's usually when the demand's down, and it would be easier to do that then. But I think that may be the answer to Festi's thing, is most of these are going to be charging overnight. But yeah, and who was it? It was just mentioned the hydrogen vehicles earlier. Oh, it was Festi. Let's talk about the hydrogen vehicles. You're right. I mean, how cool would that be, right? If we could run your car off of hydrogen, or you put water in your.
We need government subsidies not going to corn and soybeans for that to happen.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love this. Stacked AOC will figure it out. Oh God. Yeah, maybe.
We just harvest more clean coal. Wow.
Single stack. What a great name. I like that. That's a good name.
I think we'll still be really far from the whole hydrogen thing in cars.
Well, the greatest thing you can do now is to keep driving what you're driving.
Yes. but honestly, like, you saw VW a couple days ago said, oh, we're gonna make 70 battery powered cars and all this other shit, and
rely on those emissions tests too.
well, it was funny because there was an interview and they were asking Elon Musk about competition. He's like, our patents are wide open, they can use our technology. If a company comes around and they beat us at our own game, then we did something wrong, so we don't deserve to be in there. And that's the thing, is like the only one that came when I was looking at those, because again, I don't look at the car, ooh, look how fast it is, ooh, I mean, that's all great, but what's going to happen in 10 years? Are you going to be fucking sitting there? Am I going to have to take the whole pack, pull it down, and start desoldering fucking 18650s and putting my own batteries in there? Because no, you don't want to be dealing with that.
What if I go through Samsung 30Ts? Mooch says they're better capacity.
Those are the ones you put in when you want that extra boost. And so the longevity of the packs, and Tesla has got that down pat, because that's what happens over time, is you lose the storage percentage that you can put back into those batteries.
And
not
to mention, you're talking about, I think Fuji said this, is the cleanest thing you can do is keep driving the same car, and I would tend to agree. The other problem with all these electric cars coming out, and that includes the Prius or Prius, depending on where you're from, those cars they have banks of batteries that come from strip mine, stuff across the world, right, in China.
You got to mine the precious metals to go in the batteries. Is that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep driving my Civic because, it's not done being paid off yet.
The one thing I don't really like, though, is the whole DRM and pay to play with these newer cars. Like Chuff was telling me about the Teslas now come with the option where you can get the lane assist and the kind of mini it'll drive while you have your hand on the steering wheel. But for an extra like $6,000 or something, there'll be a feature where in 2020 they are promising you a fully autonomous vehicle that you can be in, and it'll just drive itself without any hardware updates. That's all software, even though, yes, that's cool. That's still kind of like, oh, you didn't make your car payment? We're going to turn your car into basic. You paid late. We're gonna, the speed decrease by 90%. You can only go 10 miles an hour. So, and a lot of them are getting into that where you pay for this much. This is what you get. If you want something later, you got to, pay the rest. So, anywho's.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You talk about the efficacy. First, you talk about the efficacy of natural gas versus what do you say is 60% of the energy of gas. That's true, and it's the same thing with the whole ethanol thing, right? And you go into your gas station right now, right, and they have to post the maximum amount of ethanol that can be in there, and everybody knows that ethanol it's shit on your systems, shit on your especially your small motors, right? Your lawnmowers and your weed eaters and all that stuff, but it's not good in any vehicle really. And they put that shit in there, and it's not as efficient power wise, right? I mean, your car can run on it, but A, it's hard on your engine and all your soft stuff in your engine, and B, it doesn't work as well. It's got less energy in it. Ugh. Sucks. Nah. Plumes of automobiles. Night, folks.
Plumes of industry.
Plumes of industries.
I like that a little more.
Yeah, I like it.
Because we can't exactly call ourselves captains of industry because not even the vape industry. Didn't you get some vape mail, dog?
I do have some vape now.
Hit it.
Pretty happy about it, actually. So, as we talked about before, this is the Naria. If you want a full-length review, you can go watch our friend Mr. Todd E-Sig Reviews. If you do not watch Todd and you want to watch vaping reviews, you should be watching Todd. He lines up with how I vape way more often than he doesn't, and I like the guy because he's an adorable man. But he breaks it down, gives you some good views on it, and I've shown the deck pictures over the last couple of weeks because I've been pretty excited about this coming. By the way, Nareg did send this to me gratis. He would not let me pay for it. I am going to get him back though because we've already got wheels rolling to return the favor. But he did send us on. I had to say that. The first thing I want to say, if you've seen one of these, let's do this zooming in thing. If you've seen a NAR product, you will recognize this. It's a NAR product, but to me, it's cleaned up quite a bit. It looks really, really somehow better, and the post-style Omen tips I think look awesome on it.
Fix those sideburns, Mattingly.
Yeah, it's good. This one isn't quite as good as the other one, in which, by the way, I lost an Omen tip yesterday.
You lost your white one? Because I know you
lost one of my white ones. I still have one, and that one I still have one, but my other one, my favorite one, went away, which sucks because and the reason it did is because it didn't fit really snugly in here, and I had it in my Zippo pocket in my pants, and I reached down to just check my mod like I do all the time, just kind of patting my pocket. And there was no drip tip in it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. It sucks. So I put the black one in there. It still looks pretty good. I do like the way it looks. Look, it's sitting a little squint there too. Need to mess with that O-ring or something, I guess. But I really like the way this looks. I will show you real quick the deck. Whoop. And sorry, it's kind of dark in there. I should probably get a little more light. The deck is really cool. I really, really think this is an attractive atomizer on the inside as well as out. I do think this has got to be the smallest chamber on an RAD anywhere. This thing is really small. That right there where you see the coil, your drip tip is there. It's like right there. So when you put this cap on, your drip tip is basically your chamber. I mean, like it's right at the bottom.
The Narca's already pretty fucking close.
And the Narca's really small, but I think this has even got it beat by just a hair.
Damn.
And that's with a flat top. That's not even with the little butterfly thing that the Narca does. But it is different. And I think Todd, by the way, I actually watched a vaping review. I haven't watched a vaping video in I don't know how long. But I did watch Todd's on the EA because I was excited about it and I wanted to see what he had to say about it. He was spot on about a lot of things. One of which is sucks. I just got a message from Will. Poor bastard. Poor bastard. He'll be back soon. He's not dead. So one of the things that he was not wrong about is even though this does externally appear to be a NAR Addy, you cannot build this like you build the DA or the CA. It's just too different. It vapes too differently. And NAR actually said this in a post in his group. He said that this is like a 16 mil Addy that looks like a 22 mil Addy. And I think that's pretty accurate because of the way the air flows and the size of the chamber. If you build, I took a Robert Key coil, right, that I've been running for a long time at this point. I didn't have one that was wound the right way, so I straightened it out and rewrapped it the other way and put it in there at 0.35, which is normally right about where I like my unregulated vaping. And the fucking thing it spit and it was hot, even with an Omen tip on there. By the way, the tip that comes with it is the normal NAR tip, which are super short and it's way too hot. Burn your lips hot. You just can't quite vape it well like that. Now I did all weekend. I vaped it exactly like that with it spitting at me. I got like scars on my tongue from angry boiling juice hitting my tongue. But I did vape it like that, and it was great. It works really, really well, other than the fact that it's hot as fuck.
Yeah, I bet you when I look in the NARMods group in a couple months, people have their atomizers. Yeah, people running fucking like triple parallel aliens in there and shit. Mm. You know, it was like the same thing that I was like racking my brain because like the Rob's like fused Claptons, that's the limit for me.
Yeah,
in terms of like coils, and then I see people throwing like all kinds of madness in there. Like, how do you taste shit?
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah. So to your point, today I pulled out my poor coil, which I mean, like I said, I basically ruined it trying to rewrap it the other way. But I pulled that out, put in my old standby coil, which is a 27 gauge parallel 4.5 wrap, which is a 0.4 roughly ohm, and that is now zero spitting and not quite as hot, obviously, right? Because it's whatever, and it's really good. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't do that and let you hear.
I would. How do you think a parallel 26 would run in there?
It'd probably be okay, but it might be a little hot.
5 wrap would be about a 0.35. So,
yeah, which is what my key coil is, right? It's a parallel 26. That's clapping up. Right?
Yeah, there's no point for that then.
I think it would be better if it was wrapped the first way, because then I wouldn't get so much spitting. Since I had to manually by hand unwrap and rewrap it, you know, the Claptoning wire on the outside isn't quite tight enough, I don't think, and I think I got it gets a little spitty when it's not wrapped the proper right way. I think if it was wrapped the other way, it would probably be okay, but still, at the same time, it is 0.35 is pretty damn hot, considering, like I said, the coil is literally inside your grip tip. But anyway, so where I was getting to is the air on here is quite a bit different, right? So the CA has got the ramps. If you go back to the DA, it's just got the direct, you know, what became the standard in single coil atomizers for a long time, justifiably so, because it works really, really well with the two air channels coming and hitting your coil from either side at the same time. This is a step different. So when the air comes in this thing, it comes in from the outside, goes down, and then goes in.
It's like your coil TA type airflow.
Yeah. So it sits real low in the deck, and the coil sits real low in the deck, and you've got that double bend. And I was trying to explain this to Sean, because Sean wasn't a fan initially of the noise. And
on a NAR Addy?
Huh?
On a NAR Addy? No.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know what it sounds like to you when I vape it. Does it sound loud?
It sounds less annoying than my Addies.
Yeah. So the upside is there's zero whistle, and I've just thrown builds in here, right, willy nilly, and it's been fine. So there's no whistle, which is something that's, if you build an NAR Addy wrong, it can whistle. whistle, but it is noisier. And historically, I don't like a noisy vape because what it typically means is when you get noisy, that means the draw is turbulent, right? You get some buffeting, you get some unpleasantness. It's not a smooth airflow like I'm used to with the DA or like the Vena from Haku. This is also a similar smooth airflow thing. This sounds buffety and turbulent, but it doesn't vape like that. But I can see how some people would think that, right? It is a little bit noisier than a DA. It's not bad, but it is a little bit more whooshy, if you will.
So it's not like a Narda or Narco where it's like, I hear a Nar at it. Who's vaping on it?
Right. You can't hear into that whistle if you draw on it or build it wrong. For sure. There's none of that, but it is a little bit more whooshy in sounding. And that's because I assume, and I'm not an aerodynamics engineer, but I'm assuming that's because of the double bend the air is having to go through.
We're armchair aerodynamicists.
Right, I'll give you an armchair aerodynamicist. Is aerodynamicist, is that really a word? But
I
don't know.
Can't ask an armchair guy. Well, you know what I have done is I was trying to detect a draft in a room. I blew my vape near the suspected draft area, and it worked.
There you go.
They did the same thing back in the day with cigarette smoke. So
right.
You found the formula for the unladen swallow.
Right.
Boom.
So anyway, the short version is it's a gorgeous atomizer inside and out. It vapes extremely well. The chamber is crazy small. You do have to build it differently. Nar actually suggested building in like one of your regulated builds and starting at half the wattage and then ramping up after that to figure out where you're going to like it because it does vape differently than the other Nar Addies.
I mean, I hope so. I just look at the airflow and be like, this is what I like.
Yeah.
Because, you know me, I think the RTAs have, in my opinion, are the most flavorful Addies of all time.
I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
So
if you can kind of replicate that, then.
Right. And just so you know, and so it's known, this is an atomizer that does not break the rules. He did sell these before the date. He just didn't, I don't think he offered them terribly publicly. I think he just sold a few of his designs beforehand. So I applaud him for doing that. And going back to what Massey referred to earlier, this first list and maybe even the list or two after that, I think NAR has worked with his admins to come up with lists of people that they know and have been big supporters of his historically to offer that to them first, which is I happen to be on that list and I'm grateful to be on it. But it's not one that's going to be terribly easy to get a hold of. And he has been pretty public that he doesn't want it to be like that in order to build hype. He's doing it mostly because he wanted to do something new for his people that have been supporting him for a really long time. I think at some point he's going to release it to the other people in the group. Oh, and by the way, congrats. I saw there's a couple people, Ernest is one of them, that got one. That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear. I know there's a couple other in our Plumes group that also managed to grab one, which is really cool. So I think the bottom line is, I think if you can get a hold of one, it is a very different atomizer. Just so you're aware, it is a different atomizer, but it is of NAR quality. It's fantastic. It's just different. But I do think I will certainly be using it. If for no other reason, it vapes great and it's attractive. But I'll definitely keep using it. By the way, it builds like a breeze. A lot of people, one of the cons that some people offer against NAR Addies is they're not terribly easy to build, especially the DA. But with how the posts are setting, you have to build your coil in this particular way. If you want to know how to do that, there's a video here on the Plumes channel. I did one a long time ago. Boom. A little cross promotion there. So we can make another extra couple cents now.
We're still trying to salvage the same channel.
and then you can fill it with our delicious juice that you can find at stashyliquids.com.
Boom. There's the cross promotion. There it is.
There you go. But anyway, so this one, as opposed to those things, builds like an absolute breeze. It's so easy to drop your coil into, and that's the other reason why I suspect I will be using this more. Is vapes great, looks great, and it builds really easily. That's one of the reasons why I love.
Wait for a bell cap for it.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love the Vena. is it vapes very, very well, and it was so easy to build. That's one of the reasons I stuck with it and used it for such a long time. And I will continue to use it because it's a great addict. So, same draw as before. No, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. Like I was saying, it's a little bit more noisy, but it is
like how is it
slightly more restricted than a DA?
Oh, than a DA, because I know the CA is a little more restrictive than a DA.
It is, and I think it's more like the CA than a DA, if that's what you're wondering about volume. Festy.
I'm a DA fanboy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just vaping on my car right now, but
I like the slightly restricted thing, and that was the problem that I had with the Phenom, the Haku Phenom, is it was a fantastic atomizer, but I had to cut the vape or the airflow down to like a third in order to get the draw that I liked, which is closer to the DA or CA, which is where I like it, which is why I like the VIN, because the VIN is like that by default. Anyway, so that's what's up. I've only had it for a couple days, but I'm certainly going to continue using it. You'll probably hear about it next week.
yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Alrighty, folks. We are the Plumes of Automobiles, the Plumes of Industry. I'm thanking you for another week of tuning in with us.
The Plume Rags.
I'm Richard Cunningham. This is Walter Cronkite. And this is Some Texan. See y'all next week. Peace.
Good night.